This presentation is related with user-defined exceptions and multi-threaded programming. In this presentation, we will see how to throw our own exceptions, that is user-defined exception, then multi-threaded programming. After that, we see how to create the threads, and at the end, we will see the life cycle of the thread. Now first, we will see throwing our own exceptions. The keyword throw is used to throw our own exceptions as throw new throwable subclass. For example, throw new arithmetic exception. A throw statement forces an exception. This statement transfers control to the next try catch statement that matches the object named in the throw statement. This program demonstrates the use of a user-defined subclass of a throwable class. Exception is a subclass of throwable, and therefore myException is a subclass of throwable class. An object of a class that extends throwable can be thrown and caught. In this program, myException is a subclass of exception. Therefore, now it automatically becomes the subclass of the throwable class. In the myException class, there is a constructor which calls the constructor of the superclass. Then in the class testMyException, two integer variables are declared, x and y, and which are initialized to 5 and 1000 respectively. After that, in the try block, there is a statement which calculates the division of x and y and assigns the result to the variable z. And now in the if statement, since value of z is less than 0.01, it will execute the statement, the throw statement, that is throw new myException with the parameter number is too small. And now since the exception object thrown by this throw statement matches with the exception type given in the catch block, it will execute the statement system.out.println with the message caught my exception, and after that it will call the getMessage function, which will display the message as number is too small. And after executing the catch block, the execution control goes to the finally block, which displays the message as I am always here. Therefore, in the output, there are three lines. The first one is caught my exception, second is number is too small, and the third line is I am always here. Now, we'll start with multi-threaded programming. The ability to execute several programs simultaneously is known as multitasking. In systems terminology, it is called multithreading. In multithreading, a program, that is a process, is divided into two or more subprograms, that is processes, which can be implemented at the same time in parallel. For example, one subprogram can display an animation on the screen while another may build the next animation to be displayed. In most of the computers, there is a single processor, and therefore, in reality, the processor is doing only one thing at a time. However, the processor switches between the processes so fast that it appears to human beings that all of them are being done simultaneously. A thread is similar to a program that has a single flow of control. It has a beginning, a body, and an end, and executes commands sequentially. Every program will have at least one thread as shown in this figure. A unique property of Java is its support for multithreading. Each flow of control may be thought of as a separate tiny program or module known as thread that runs in parallel to others as shown in this figure. A program that contains multiple flows of control is known as a multi-threaded program. This figure illustrates a Java program with 4 threads, one main and 3 others. The main thread is actually the main method module, which is designed to create and start the other 3 threads, namely A, B and C. Once initiated by the main thread, the threads A, B and C run concurrently and share the resources jointly. The ability of a language to support multi-threads is referred as concurrency. Since threads in Java are subprograms of main application program and share the same memory space, they can be known as lightweight threads or lightweight processes. Since all the threads are running on a single processor, the flow of execution is shared between the threads. The Java interpreter handles the switching of control between the threads in such a way that it appears they are running concurrently. Now we will see how to create the threads. Threads are implemented in the form of objects that contain a method called run. A typical run method would appear as public void run, and then in the body of the run method the statements for implementing the thread. The run method should be invoked by an object of the concerned thread. This can be achieved by creating the thread and initiating it with the help of another thread method called start. A new thread can be created in two ways. The first is by creating a thread class, that is, define a class that extends thread class and override its run method with the code required by the thread. And the second, by converting a class to a thread, that is, define a class that implements a runnable interface. The runnable interface has only one method, that is run. This method is to be defined in a class with the code to be executed by the thread. Now, extending the thread class. The class can be made runnable as a thread by extending the class java.lang.thread. This gives access to all the thread methods directly. It includes the following steps. Number 1. Declare the class as extending the thread class. Number 2. Implement the run method that is responsible for executing the sequence of a code that the thread will execute. And number 3. Create a thread object and call the start method to initiate the thread execution. The thread class can be extended as class. The class name myThread extends thread. Now override the run method inherited by the class myThread. When the new thread is started, Java calls the threads run method. To actually create and run an instance of myThread, write the statements as myThread m is equal to new myThread and then m dot start. Now this will invoke the run method of the object m. This program illustrates the use of thread class for creating and running threads in an application. The program creates 3 threads A, B and C for undertaking 3 different tasks. The main method in the thread test class also constitutes another thread called main thread. Here, the task of thread A is to display 1 to 3 numbers. Task of thread B is to display 11 to 13 numbers. Task of thread C is to display 21 to 23 numbers. And in the main method of the thread test class, three objects of thread A, B and C are created, and also the start method of the corresponding objects are called. Here simply three new threads are initiated and started. We did not hold on to them. They are running concurrently on their own. The output from the threads are not spatially sequential. They do not follow any specific order. They are running independently of one another, and each executes whenever it has a chance. Once the thread are started, we cannot decide with certainty the order in which they may execute the statements. Now we'll see the life cycle of the thread. Following are the states that can enter a thread during the lifetime. The first is the newborn state, second is runnable state, third is running state, next is blocked state, and the last one is the dead state. A thread is always in one of these five states. It can move from one state to another via a variety of ways as shown in the following figure. Initially, when the thread is created, we call it as the newborn thread, or it is the new thread. A new thread may become the active thread, or it may go to the dead state. Similarly, the active thread may become ideal thread or not runnable thread, or it may go to the dead state. And a blocked thread may become again active thread, or it may go to the dead state. Newborn state. When a thread object is created, the thread is born and is said to be in newborn state. The thread is not yet scheduled for running. At this state, we can do only one of the following things with it. That is, schedule it for running using start method or kill it using stop method. Second, runnable state. The runnable state means that the thread is ready for execution and is waiting for the availability of the processor. That is, the thread has joined the queue of threads that are waiting for execution. If all threads have equal priority, then they are given time slots for execution in round robin fashion, that is, first come, first serve manner. The thread that relinquishes control joins the queue at the end and again waits for its turn. The process of assigning time to threads is known as time slicing. How- However, if we want a thread to relinquish control to another thread of equal priority before its turn comes, we can do so by using the yield method as shown in the figure. Now, the running state. Running means that the processor has given its time to the thread for its execution. The thread runs until it relinquishes control on its own or it is preempted by a higher priority thread. A running thread may relinquish its control in one of the following situations. The first one, it has been suspended using suspend method. A suspended thread can be revived by using the resume method. This approach is useful when we want to suspend a thread for some time due to certain reason but not want to kill it. Second, it has been made to sleep. A thread can be put to sleep for a specified time using the method sleep. Here, the time given is in milliseconds. This means that the thread is out of queue during this time period. The thread re-enters the runnable state as soon as this time period is elapsed. And number three, it has been told to wait until some event occurs. This is done using the wait method. The thread can be scheduled to run again using the notify method. Blocked state. A thread is said to be blocked when it is prevented from entering into the runnable state and subsequently the running state. This happens when the thread is suspended, sleeping, or waiting in order to satisfy certain requirements. A blocked thread is considered not runnable but not dead and therefore fully qualified to run again. And the last is dead state. A running thread ends its life when it has completed executing its run method. It is a natural death. However, a thread can be killed by sending the stop message to it at any state, thus causing a premature death to it. A thread can be killed as soon as it is born, or while it is running, or it is in the not runnable condition. Here is the end of this session. Thank you.